two competing companies. Like, they sell the exact same product.
Okay.
They source from the exact same supply chain, and they hire the exact same caliber of Ivy League talent.
Right, so on paper, they're identical.
Completely identical twins, yet one of them is going to just totally dominate the market. Like, capturing a 40% share over the next 12 months while the other one just slowly bleeds out.
And people will assume it's marketing.
Exactly. But the difference between them won't be some brilliant new ad campaign or, a visionary CEO. The difference will be completely invisible. So, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are exploring a massive shift in how businesses actually win in the modern economy.
It really is a massive shift.
It is. We're looking at a deeply insightful piece from March 2026 by J.D. Parashar. He's the founder and director of Rethynk AI Innovation and Research.
Great organization.
Yeah, and the piece is titled Competitive Advantage is Now Algorithmic. And our mission for you, the listener, is to really help you understand why treating artificial intelligence as just another tool in your software stack is a massive strategic failure.
A total failure.
And we want to show you how to spot the organizations that are actually building this invisible moat.
What's fascinating here is that for the last century, competitive advantage was something you could literally drive past.
Oh, right, like factories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could look at a massive, sprawling manufacturing plant and visibly see a company's scale. Or you could look at a fleet of thousands of delivery trucks and see their distribution network.
The physical footprint.
Right. And those traditional strengths absolutely still matter, obviously. But an entirely new layer of advantage has emerged right over top of them.
Invisible, like you said.
Completely invisible.
Yeah.
The companies that are consistently outperforming the market right now, they aren't just plugging an AI chatbot into their customer service portal.
Right.
They're fundamentally designing systems that learn, predict, and autonomously decide.
But you can't build that invisible moat if you're still treating AI like a glorified intern.
No, you really can't.
And that is exactly the trap most leadership teams are falling into right now. They look at their legacy workflows and simply ask, where can we automate this to save a few dollars?
Yeah, Parashar actually calls this the tool trap.
The tool trap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Organizations are deploying AI strictly as a productivity enhancer, like a cost reduction mechanism or just a really slight operational upgrade.
Just to trim the fat.
Exactly. The mindset is entirely focused on efficiency rather than evolution. So leadership teams are looking at natural language processors or predictive models and utilizing them to, basically shave 10% off the time it takes to draft internal reports.
Or like generate marketing copy.
Right. They view AI as a way to do the exact same things they've always done, just marginally faster and cheaper.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because treating a deeply transformative technology as just a way to write emails faster, it feels like using a state-of-the-art smartphone exclusively as a paperweight just because it has a nice weight to it.
That's a great analogy.
Right. Yes, it works as a paperweight, but you are entirely missing the underlying capability of the technology.
You're completely missing the point.
But wait, I have to push back a little here.
Sure.
Isn't reducing costs and boosting productivity technically a competitive advantage? Like, if my company is suddenly 20% more efficient than yours because we automated a bunch of routine tasks, isn't that a massive win?
Well, cost-cutting through basic automation is a win in the short term.
Okay.
But it is fundamentally a race to the bottom. Think about it. If you buy an off-the-shelf AI tool to optimize your logistics scheduling.
My competitor can just buy it too.
Exactly. They can buy that exact same software license tomorrow.
Yeah.
You haven't built a moat. You've just slightly lowered the water level for everyone in your industry.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, a true advantage has to be proprietary. It has to be incredibly difficult to replicate. Parashar's core argument is that moving AI from a neat little departmental experiment to what he calls strategic infrastructure that fundamentally changes the nature of competition.
Strategic infrastructure.
Right. It shifts the organization away from deterministic software.
And deterministic means like standard code.
Yeah, where a program does exactly what it was hard-coded to do until a human updates it. We're moving from that to probabilistic learning systems.
It's adapting.
Constantly. It's no longer about working faster. It's about algorithms directly influencing core decisions across pricing, supply chains, customer experience.
So that transition from deterministic to probabilistic software completely rewrites the rules of engagement.
Completely.
And mechanically, this is where a traditional business model starts to really break down against an algorithmic one. Because a traditional company relies on human capacity to process information.
Which is very limited.
Exactly. You might have a team of brilliant analysts, but they can only read so many market reports, right? They can only cross-reference so many spreadsheets before they hit a biological wall.
They literally have to go to sleep.
Right.
And that human cognition is the ultimate bottleneck in legacy organizations.
Mm.
An algorithmic system removes that bottleneck by, well, the first pillar Parashar talks about is scaling intelligence.
Scaling intelligence.
Yeah, across the entire enterprise. So instead of intelligence being isolated in a specific boardroom or, a highly paid strategy team.
Right. The ivory tower?
Exactly. You have APIs processing vast amounts of unstructured and structured data.
24/7.
Just constantly chewing through it.
Constantly. And these systems identify incredibly subtle patterns rapidly and generate continuous insights. So suddenly, every department, from procurement to floor-level retail management, has access to top-tier, data-driven insights instantly.
Here's where it gets really interesting, I think.
Right.
Because scaling that intelligence across the company is only half the battle.
Because think about it. If a human analyst makes a brilliant, counterintuitive call on inventory management, that knowledge usually retires when they do.
Or it gets lost when they jump ship to another firm.
Exactly. But with an algorithmic model, that successful inventory decision becomes a permanent data point.
Yes. The system actually gets smarter from the action it just took.
And Parashar highlights this as the second pillar, right? Continuous compounding improvement.
Yeah, compounding improvement. And this is the crucial differentiator between legacy software and algorithmic advantage.
Because traditional software degrades.
The moment it's deployed, it starts degrading because the market environment constantly changes around it.
Right.
But an algorithmic process leverages continuous feedback loops. Every single decision it makes, every edge case it encounters,
It's learning from all of it.
everything. Every outcome it observes feeds back into the system to update the model's weights. It's continuously refining its own predictive accuracy.
So it's always getting better.
By the time a competitor realizes what you're doing and tries to copy your strategy, your system has already learned from 1,000,000 new data points. It's adjusted its parameters and moved 3 steps ahead.
It's a compounding flywheel of intelligence. And because that flywheel is spinning continuously, it enables the third pillar, a level of real-time adaptation that a human hierarchy simply cannot match.
Not even close.
Let's look at how this actually functions in the wild. Like, imagine a sudden, unexpected spike in raw material costs due to some geopolitical event in Southeast Asia.
Okay, standard supply chain shock.
Right. In a traditional company, that anomaly has to be flagged by an analyst, then compiled into a report,
Pushed up to a director.
debated in a quarterly review,
Right.
and then manually factored into new consumer pricing weeks later.
And during those weeks, the traditional company is just bleeding margin.
Bleeding out.
Yeah. An algorithmic system operates on a completely different latency. Its data integration detects that shift in raw material costs instantly.
And
It autonomously cross-references regional warehouse inventory, predicts demand elasticity for the end product, and dynamically adjusts the e-commerce pricing
oh, wow.
and the supply chain routing on the fly before a human executive even logs onto their computer in the morning.
That is insane.
It's that lack of friction, that ability to optimize operations instantaneously based on dynamic variables like weather patterns, competitor actions, or supply shocks. It makes the company's market positioning incredibly resilient.
So we have systems that scale intelligence seamlessly, they compound their own accuracy, and they adapt in real time. But Parashar brings up a fourth crucial mechanism, which is the systematic reduction of decision variability.
Right. Consistency.
Because human decisions naturally fluctuate based on context, right? Or immense pressure, or unconscious bias.
Absolutely.
And well-designed AI brings baseline consistency to those decisions. But I have to ask a probing question here.
Go for it.
If we are utilizing algorithms to relentlessly smooth out and eliminate human decision variability, aren't we just stripping away the gut feeling or human intuition that often drives the most brilliant business moves?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to deeply analyze why human decisions vary in the first place.
Okay.
Occasionally, sure, it's brilliant intuition, but more often than not, it's because an executive is operating on 4 hours of sleep,
Right.
or they're under immense pressure to hit a quarterly target, or they have this unconscious bias toward a vendor they've worked with for a decade, even if the vendor is underperforming.
So the variance isn't usually genius, it's usually just human error.
Exactly. Reducing that variability isn't about killing human intuition. It's about establishing a rock-solid foundation of baseline reliability.
You're raising the floor, not lowering the ceiling.
That is exactly it. Establishing consistency and reliability in routine, data-heavy decisions actually liberates your human talent.
It frees them up.
Right. When an algorithm can reliably handle dynamic pricing models or, inventory optimization, it frees up cognitive load. It allows your human experts to apply their intuition, their creativity, to complex, ambiguous problems that machines simply cannot parse.
And I imagine it builds trust, too.
Immense trust. When internal teams and external customers experience consistent, transparent outcomes, that trust becomes a compounding asset in itself.
So if this compounding flywheel is so incredibly powerful and the path seems so clear,
Yeah.
why are massive enterprise AI deployments still failing spectacularly?
Well, they're failing everywhere.
Right. Companies are pouring billions of dollars into machine learning initiatives, yet a lot of them are failing to gain any measurable edge over their competitors.
Well, Parashar is very explicit here. Having AI and having an algorithmic advantage are two entirely different realities.
Just because you bought the software doesn't mean you have the moat.
Exactly. Building this infrastructure is structurally and culturally demanding. It's not just a matter of simply purchasing a SaaS subscription. The most common barrier organizations face is fragmented initiatives. You'll see the marketing department independently buying an AI tool for ad generation.
Oh, yeah.
Then the HR department is running a localized predictive model for employee retention. And the logistics team is using a completely different system for routing.
It's shadow IT on steroids.
Totally.
None of these models are communicating with each other. They're isolated, disconnected experiments rather than a unified strategic infrastructure.
And without a unified data architecture, those localized models cannot create a compounding advantage for the enterprise.
They're trapped in their silos.
Right. And this fragmentation is usually driven by a lack of AI literacy at the leadership level. If the C-suite views AI as a novel IT project rather than a core component of the business strategy, they will never commit to the structural integration required.
Which brings us to the most difficult, unglamorous barrier of all. To actually build this advantage, Parashar outlines a highly practical framework, right?
He does, yeah. 4 steps.
Starting with step 1, identifying high-impact decisions. You don't waste capital automating trivial administrative tasks.
Right. You target the decisions that fundamentally move the needle on revenue or cost, risk, customer experience.
But then you hit the absolute wall of enterprise transformation. Step 2, integrating data across functions.
The hardest part.
Because algorithms depend entirely on data quality and accessibility. So what does this all mean for everyday workers?
That's a great question.
Because honestly, spending 2 years standardizing legacy databases and building reliable data pipelines, it sounds like incredibly tedious digital plumbing.
It is digital plumbing.
Everyone wants to deploy the shiny new predictive model. Absolutely no one wants to do the dirty work of cleaning up 20 years of unstructured corporate data.
But it is the single most critical step. And it is precisely why so many transformations fail.
Because they skip the plumbing.
If you skip the data integration phase, you are essentially plugging a supercomputer into a clogged, rusted pipe.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. It does not matter how sophisticated the neural network is or how brilliant the processing power might be. If the model is feeding on fragmented, outdated, or fundamentally biased data silos, you are not building an advantage.
What are you building?
You've just built a highly efficient system that executes catastrophic mistakes at lightning speed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the compounding advantage we discussed earlier rapidly turns into a compounding disaster because the system learns to make the wrong decisions with increasing confidence.
That is terrifying. Okay, so let's look at how that system actually operates once the plumbing is fixed, and you're in step 3, because the interaction between the human and the machine is where things get really complicated.
Very complicated.
Parashar argues that the strongest organizations design systems where the AI generates the data-driven insight, but humans provide the contextual judgment.
Yes, the human in the loop.
Let me challenge that dynamic for a moment, though.
Okay.
If an algorithmic system flags a subtle market trend and generates a recommendation to, say, slash pricing by 15%, and a human executive looks at it, applies their contextual judgment, and approves it, who actually gets the blame when that decision triggers a massive margin collapse?
Well, this raises an important question, and it is the exact reason why Parashar mandates Step 4, the establishment of clear governance and accountability frameworks.
Governance.
Yes, the handover point, that specific interaction between machine insight and human execution, is where the entire infrastructure either thrives or falls apart completely.
Because if the human executive just blindly rubber stamps whatever the machine recommends to avoid personal blame, you've entirely lost the value of having a human in the loop.
They're not adding any context.
Right, the human just becomes a liability shield for the software.
Exactly. But conversely, if the human constantly overrides the machine's statistically sound recommendations based purely on an outdated gut feeling, the organization has wasted millions of dollars building a system they refuse to trust.
So how do you fix that handover point?
Parashar points out that algorithmic advantage must be supported by transparent accountability. His firm, Rethynk AI, explicitly consults on a concept they call decision architecture design.
Decision architecture design. I absolutely love that phrasing. It treats the decision-making process itself as a highly engineered product.
That's exactly it.
Well,
You are literally architecting the taxonomy of a decision. You are explicitly defining the boundaries of authority.
like drawing a line in the sand.
Right. A solid architecture dictates exactly where the algorithm's statistical authority ends and where human strategic accountability begins.
How does that look in practice?
Well, this might involve defining confidence thresholds. Say the model is 95% confident in a routine pricing adjustment. The architecture says it executes autonomously. No human needed.
Okay, that makes sense.
But if confidence drops below 80% due to, I don't know, a novel market shock,
Something the system hasn't seen before.
right, the architecture automatically routes the decision to a human strategist, along with all the underlying data that caused the uncertainty.
That's brilliant.
It ensures that strategic oversight is rigorously protected, model drift is caught early, and long-term trust in the system is maintained. And that's what Rethynk AI calls building an AI-aligned business strategy.
It really pulls the entire transformation into focus. Transitioning to an algorithmic advantage isn't just a technological upgrade. It is a fundamental rewiring of organizational culture.
Completely.
You have to change how data flows, how decisions are architected, and how accountability is measured.
The underlying machine learning technology is incredibly powerful, but it's ultimately just the engine. The true sustainable market advantage comes from how intelligently you design the vehicle around that engine.
Bring this all together for you, the listener. If there is an ultimate takeaway from J.D. Parashar's analysis, it's that the fundamental nature of business competition has permanently shifted.
Oh, no.
In legacy markets, you won based on the raw, visible resources you possessed, right? The factories, the capital, the brand footprint. But today, in a fully digitized economy, advantage emerges purely from how intelligently you mobilize those resources.
And the central strategic question for modern leadership teams is no longer, do we have AI?
Because soon everyone will.
Exactly. Within a very short time frame, every single company will have access to powerful AI tools. The question that will dictate market survival over the next decade is, are our proprietary algorithms helping us compete better and learn faster every single day?
It's the evolution from static software ownership to dynamic, compounding intelligence. But before we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
A bit of a curveball.
Yeah. While digging into the source material, there was a reference to a broader body of Parashar's work, and one of his other article titles really jumped out. The title was AI-led brands will outperform story-led brands.
It is an incredibly provocative premise. It challenges a century of marketing orthodoxy.
It really does.
We have always been taught that human beings connect fundamentally with stories, that building brand loyalty is an emotional, messy, deeply human endeavor.
Right.
But if the economic future belongs to hyper-efficient organizations that perfectly optimize every single decision and rely on machine learning to systematically eliminate human variability from their operations, what happens to serendipity?
What happens to the happy accident? Like the flawed but brilliant campaign that no algorithm would have ever predicted or approved.
Exactly. If a brand becomes entirely governed by flawless algorithmic logic, perfectly anticipating what a consumer needs, perfectly optimizing the supply chain, perfectly tailoring the messaging, will these organizations eventually optimize the actual soul right out of their business?
That's a profound question.
Can a perfectly mathematical brand truly inspire the deep, irrational human loyalty that defines legendary companies?
Or will that total lack of human messiness and unpredictability become the ultimate new vulnerability in the market? It's something for you to watch out for as these invisible moats continue to expand across industries.
It's going to be fascinating to watch.
It really is. The giant factories and fleets of trucks are still out there, but the real battle for market dominance is happening quietly, out of sight, line by line in the code. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.